Welcome to the deep dive. We're here, as always, exploring ways to find, inner peace, mindfulness, self-love, really helping you embrace your authentic self.
Hmm.
And today, we're diving into something really intriguing, I think. Sacred geometry.
Yes.
It might sound a little, well, maybe complex at first, but I think you'll find it's a fascinating look at the shapes and patterns that many believe are fundamental to our universe.
That's a great way to frame it. It's essentially the study and also the use of geometric forms that hold, let's say, spiritual or metaphysical meaning.
Okay.
The core belief is that these shapes aren't just random doodles. They're basic building blocks reflecting order, harmony.
And harmony.
Not just out there in nature, but, within us, within the cosmos. And the really interesting part, this is ancient stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say, this isn't new age, is it?
Not at all.
Yeah.
These ideas go back thousands of years.
Oh.
Sacred geometry weaves through so many ancient cultures. Oh, you see it in Egyptian art and architecture, definitely. Greek philosophy touches on it. Hindu traditions are rich with it.
Okay.
Even indigenous cultures across the world. This idea of geometry holding deeper meaning, it's been around for a very long time.
So our goal today, our sort of mission for this deep dive, is to explore how understanding these shapes, maybe even working with them, could potentially connect us to, well, to a kind of deeper energy.
Mm-hmm. A divine energy, perhaps.
Right. And how that relates back to our well-being, finding that inner peace, and, personal growth, which is what we're always exploring here.
Exactly. The thinking is, if you understand these fundamental geometric principles, you can sort of align yourself, harmonize yourself with the energies that shape the universe.
And that alignment could lead to benefits.
Yes, potentially physical, emotional, spiritual benefits. Things that really resonate with that journey towards peace and self-development.
Now, I get that the word geometry might make some people think, uh-oh, math class flashbacks. But the sources we looked at emphasize that while it can be intricate, there's also something really intuitive about sacred geometry.
That's a really key point.
Like you might just feel drawn to certain patterns, maybe in crystals or flowers or shells. It's about trusting that feeling, right? And not sort of boxing yourself in.
Absolutely crucial. Your first connection might be very personal, very intuitive. It's about noticing what resonates with you, what
Yeah.
feels meaningful or beautiful. That personal link is where the potential starts.
Okay, good. So let's dig into some of the core concepts then, these shapes that keep popping up. First one, the flower of life. Sounds lovely.
It is visually quite beautiful. Imagine a whole lot of circles, all the same size, overlapping perfectly evenly spaced.
Okay, I can picture that, like a net of circle.
Exactly. And it creates this complex flower-like pattern. Symbolically, it's huge. It often represents creation itself, the interconnectedness of everything.
The unity with all life.
Precisely. That idea that nothing is truly separate. Some traditions even see it as like a visual map of how creation unfolded.
Wow. Okay, and related to that, I gather, is the seed of life.
Yes, the seed of life is like the starting point.
Yeah.
It's simpler, just 7 interlocking circles.
7. Like the days of creation.
That's exactly the connection many traditions make. It represents those first stages, the origin of life. And what's cool is how this simple pattern can grow. Think about a snowflake.
A snowflake.
Yeah, our sources mention it as a perfect natural example, each one unique, but built on that fundamental unfolding seed of life pattern.
That's incredible. Something so delicate based on such a core structure. Okay, next one. Metatron's cube. Sounds powerful.
It has a very strong energy associated with it, yes. Metatron's cube is this complex figure that actually contains all 5 Platonic solids within its lines.
The Platonic solids? Remind me.
Tetrahedron, cube, octahedron, dodecahedron, icosahedron, those perfect 3D shapes with identical faces.
Right, the building blocks.
Kind of like the fundamental building blocks of matter in classical thought, yeah. So Metatron's cube, containing all of them, is often seen as representing the balance of energies masculine and feminine, and the underlying structure, the geometric framework of the universe.
A blueprint for everything. Heavy stuff.
It's a big concept, yeah.
Okay, what about the Sri Yantra? That one sounds very specific.
It is. It comes from the Hindu tradition, a very complex and deeply sacred symbol. It's made of interlocking triangles, 9 of them, pointing up and down.
Triangles, okay.
And these triangles aren't just shapes. They represent the cosmos, the human body, and that union of divine masculine and feminine forces. It's a major focus for meditation in Hinduism.
Got it. Okay, let's shift slightly. There's a mathematical side too, right?
Yeah.
The golden ratio, or phi.
Yes, phi, approximately 1.618. It's this mathematical ratio that, well, it just shows up everywhere, in nature, in art, architecture.
And it's linked to beauty, isn't it?
It often is, yeah. Things proportioned according to the golden ratio often strike us as aesthetically pleasing. It's led people to see it as a kind of divine proportion. There's even some psychological research suggesting our brains might just like it.
Hmm. And the source mentioned the Great Pyramid of Giza, though maybe it's debated.
It is debated, but yes.
Hmm.
The ratio of its height to its base length is remarkably close to the golden ratio. Whether intentional or intuitive, it's fascinating to think about in such an ancient structure.
Definitely sparks the imagination. And tied into this is the Fibonacci sequence.
Right, closely related. That's the sequence 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, where you add the last two numbers to get the next one.
I remember this from school and
Yeah.
seeing it in, like, pine cones.
Exactly. It appears constantly in nature.
Mm.
Leaf arrangements, tree branching, shell spirals. Our sources gave some great examples too. That Gherkin building in London,
Oh, yeah.
its spiral design apparently mimics Fibonacci spirals found in nature, like in pine cones. And for a really clear visual, Romanesco broccoli.
Broccoli. Seriously?
Seriously. Look closely at one next time. It's a perfect fractal Fibonacci spiral.
Mind blown. Okay, so we have these amazing concepts, these patterns everywhere. How do we actually use this? How do we harness the energy of sacred geometry for our well-being, for that inner peace we're seeking?
Well, the core idea is that by consciously interacting with these shapes, meditating on them, observing them, you can start to align your own energy field with the energies they represent.
Align with the universal patterns.
Kind of, yeah. And that alignment, that harmonization, is believed to be what brings about potential benefits, physical, emotional, spiritual.
Okay, let's get practical. Meditation seems like an obvious starting point.
Definitely. Meditating on a symbol like the flower of life or the Sri Yantra is considered a really direct way to connect. You focus on the image,
Just visually.
visually, or holding the intention of its meaning. The idea is to attune your mind, your spirit, to the frequency of that shape. This is thought to help access deeper consciousness, gain insights.
And promote calm, presumably.
Yes, very much so. Our sources suggest visualizing these patterns during meditation can actively balance and harmonize your energy field. So, absolutely, a tool for cultivating inner peace and connecting more deeply with yourself.
That makes sense.
Yep.
A visual focus. What about healing? You mentioned physical benefits earlier.
Right. Sacred geometry is used in energy healing modalities, things like Reiki, crystal healing. Practitioners might visualize the shapes during a session, or even place crystals or objects carved into these shapes on or around the body. The intent is to help restore energetic balance and support healing.
Any specific shapes for that?
The source specifically mentioned Metatron's cube again, suggesting it's particularly good for clearing negative energies or protecting the aura.
Interesting. So a protective quality, too. Okay, moving outwards, art and architecture,
Mhm.
creating harmonious spaces.
Yes. The principle is that incorporating these geometric ratios and patterns into design can help create environments that just feel better, more peaceful, more harmonious.
Like ancient temples, maybe.
Exactly. Ancient temples are often cited. But even some modern buildings might use these principles, consciously or not, to try and harness positive energies. And on a personal level,
Yeah.
you could try creating your own art, drawing or painting mandalas, yantras based on these forms. That can be a meditative practice in itself, plus it puts that energy into your space.
This sounds like a really lovely creative approach. What about for personal development or even manifestation that ties into our goals of growth?
For sure. One simple way is just keeping the symbols close. Wearing jewelry, maybe with the flower of life, or carrying a small Metatron's cube.
To keep the energy near.
That's the idea. It's thought to potentially enhance focus, creativity, spiritual awareness, just by being in your field. And then there's visualization.
Using the shapes to manifest goals.
Yes. Because these shapes are seen as encoding the creative process of the universe. Aligning your intentions with them through visualization is believed to tap into that creative power.
Aligning personal intention with the universe's patterns. I like that. And we talked about nature before, seeing the patterns in shells and trees. How does connecting with that help our well-being?
Well, simply noticing it, consciously observing these patterns in the natural world, the spiral in a fern, the branching of a river delta, it deepens your connection.
Makes you feel more part of it all.
Exactly. It fosters mindfulness and awareness of interconnectedness. And practically, our sources suggested things like designing your garden or arranging furniture using golden ratio principles.
To balance the energy of your environment.
Yes, to create more harmony in your surroundings, which in turn supports inner harmony and peace.
Beautiful. Okay, one last area mentioned was alchemy and transformation. That sounds deep.
It is. Sacred geometry has historical links to alchemy, but also a metaphorical connection to personal transformation.
How so?
Engaging with these shapes, contemplating them, is thought to help facilitate a kind of inner alchemy, transmuting negative energies, old patterns, difficult emotions, into something more positive, more integrated.
So a tool for personal growth and shifting energy.
Precisely. For some, studying sacred geometry is really a path towards spiritual growth, higher awareness, maybe even enlightenment, using these forms to evolve, essentially.
Wow. Okay, so it really is much more than just pretty patterns. It's a whole framework, like you said, connecting the physical and the metaphysical.
That's it. It's a philosophical system, a spiritual language, suggesting these geometric forms are fundamental to reality itself. And by engaging with them, we might find more harmony, more balance, more insight in our own lives.
So if you're listening, maybe something here has sparked your interest. Maybe you feel a pull to look closer at a snowflake or meditate on the flower of life or even just notice the proportions in your own home.
We definitely encourage you to follow that intuition.
Yeah, explore it. See what resonates for you on your path.
And here's a final thought to leave you with. How might really recognizing these fundamental patterns, seeing the same geometry in a galaxy and in a seashell, how might that shift your perspective, your sense of reality, and your own place within it all?
Something to ponder. You can find more resources and insights on topics like inner peace, mindfulness, and personal growth over at truefulfillment.us. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, please do like, comment, and subscribe. It helps others find the show. Thanks so much for listening today.